Hey there everybody, and welcome back to the next video in the updated How to Create a Social or Sharing App playlist. In today's video, we are going to be walking through the boards page. Up until now, we have created the home page, this navigation bar, the post page, the create a post page, and the my profile page. So this is the second to last video, although over time I could update the playlist and add more, but basically we're finalizing the application before going through the build and export and upload process. So at this point, we have really everything but this page here set up, and I'm excited to kind of walk through this functionality. So instead of skipping ahead, watch this because you're going to need to understand the flow if you want to make any adjustments. Now, none of these have images, and there is a reason for that. So if we click the Update Boards button, this could be a little bit concerning. It does look like a lot appears at once, and it can be a little confusing. So I'm going to explain essentially how this works. So in Firebase, I have this connected to a sample database. Now, when we go to Firestore database, you'll see we obviously have a ton of information. So what we have here is 3 chats, chat 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you remember when we made our, basically like our profile details page, these have chat 1, 2, and 3. So that'll be important in a minute, and we're going to need to make sure that we don't overwrite those when we allow users to update their profile. So we're going to look at this one right here. We see the spelling, and we're going to try to find that exact same chat. And the idea here is this chat. So here's how this functionality works. If you want to create a new chat, then we'll put Firebase over here and show how it works in real time. So if I'm a user and I just started logging into the app for the first time, I'll just click Save Changes. You'll see profile updated, so there's literally nothing here. So I'm a new user and I'm like, oh, what's this? All right, I'm going to update and add a board. I don't have any already, so if I want to start one, I would just start, we'll just call it my first board. Now, the idea is the users want this to be something unique. You could put a chat image URL in here if you want. So I will try to scroll through and see if I can find an image URL, just some kind of a link, and we'll paste it in. Now, I want to show you what this is going to do side by side because I think it's a pretty cool concept. So if we click Start/Clear Chat, it's going to give you this saying it's going to delete it if it exists. Only proceed if you're creating, and we'll click OK. And you'll see over here, my first board just appeared. And it has a bunch of empty slots with a page image and a URL that says my first board. So now that I've created the chat, I'm going to click Save Changes. So now you'll see the image appears. So when I click on this board, it's just a bunch of empty content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Post to Update 1, and I'll just say it worked. Picture to update, we'll update picture 1, and we'll paste in the same image URL, and we'll click Post. You'll notice the board got deleted and then recreated, and now it says Post 1, and we have the image URL up here in image 1. Now let's try to update Post 5, and we'll put it worked 5. And we'll update image 5 and click Post. Same exact logic. And now when we scroll up, you'll see we have an image and text in 1 and 5. So here's the cool part of where this board functions. If you want another user to log in and access this board, all they have to do is type in board, my first board, and go down here and click Save. And now they'll be able to access it. So the idea here is if you want to have another user log into the app, they would paste this in and have access. So if you want to prove that that works, let's try one of these boards over here that we've already been using. For example, if we want to use, let's see if there's one that already has one, some text. So we'll see this one has chat text 1 and 5. So we will put in the name of the board, which is just secret. And then we can delete this. It doesn't really matter. And we'll click Save Changes. So now it's been saved to our profile. Now when we click it, you'll see the text right here matches this text, and the text in looks like section 5 and section 9 also matches. And then image 1 and 5 you won't see because the URL doesn't actually take you anywhere. But that's the idea. And now that board is kind of stuck to the profile. So you can switch between boards and you can have up to 3 at the same time. And again, you want to add a unique ID here. So that's the general idea. People can share out their unique URL. Now, based on security, it would be easy to find some of these potentially, so you're going to have to find a way to secure endpoints or make sure users are aware they don't want to have super sensitive data in these boards, but that's just kind of the general idea of the board. It gives them 10 places. They can share images, they can share posts, they just choose what images they want to update, what posts they want to update, and then that content is shared, and it stores the username that shared it as well. All right, so let's go ahead and go through the build process, because that's going to be it's going to be simple to build, especially since we're just doing it once and then kind of copying the content. So at this point, you're going to need a new page for all of your boards, or you can call them whatever you want to call it. So this is just this page here, boards. And then on that page, we're going to have this title that just says see boards below. And then I have brought in 3 of these large image list item. In each, you can double click, go to style, and choose a background color. And then you can click on them and change the name and the description to whatever you want each to be. And then the final step is in each of these, we're going to have them open a page for that board. So in this case, you can just click Add New Page, add pages board 1, board 2, board 3, and then open each of those pages just by adding in this open page function from over here, clicking it, and over here choosing which page to open. So in this case, we have 3 boards set up, and all of these are going to just open that board. So I'll show you what that looks like in the app. Board 1 will open up this page. Board 2 will open up this page. And the general idea is it's copying the logic that we've already used for the posts, except in this case, we're only posting to these 3. Now what we have next is a list divider, which you can see right here, just this line, and then a button that says update boards. Beneath that is a container, and you'll notice over here we don't see anything, and that is because in the container, under Advanced Properties, Visible is set to false, and this is intentional. So, this button here, just called Button 4, you can drag one over, call it whatever you want, and what you're going to do here is on the button click, you're going to click Show Component and Hide Component. And you can install these from the market, and they'll show up over here. So Hide Component, when you select it, you'll just choose whatever's at the top. It should say this component. And what this is doing is this is hiding itself when the button is clicked. So you'll have hide this component, and for show component, it will be for the container that you drop in. If you remember, you can just drop a container in anywhere, put whatever you want inside of that container, and then you can select that container, and basically you can just click it and choose the option to make it visible. You would just put false. And that's really all that there is to it. So in this case, we will find this input container. So you'll see I have the whole container selected. I would just click visible false, and now the container disappears, but I still see it in the tree. I know it's called container 8. So my logic for this update board would just say show component container, and you just find container 8. Now in this case, I'll delete container 8, but that's what you're going to want your container to be. So let's look at container 5 real quick. I'm going to make it true just so you can see what's actually shown. In container 5, I have input field 1. I have 2 input fields side by side, so you'll see 1 and 2. and then a Start Clear button, which is just this button here. When you drag a standard button over, you can select it and select Style and choose different colors. You can also click the drop down and edit when you're on the actual button you're editing. So for example, if I select this one, I can choose Edit and change more information if you want. I like red because it's kind of a cautionary color for this. So again, it's just like a, hey, this is very important, kind of a button, if that makes sense. So in your container, here's what you need to have. You need to have input field 1, which is right here. You just drag it over into the container. You're going to have a second input field and then a button. Then you're going to have a list divider, and then we're going to repeat the process. Input field 2, input field 2, so you're just going to have 2 more input fields, a button, a list divider, and then 2 input fields followed by a button and a list divider. And then we're going to follow this up with a list divider and one more button. So here's the order. All contained within a single container. You're going to have 2 input fields, a button, a list divider, 2 input fields, a button, a list divider, 2 input fields, a button, a list divider, and then 1 final button. So what this is going to look like in the user interface is these input fields, the button, the divider. That process repeats all the way down to save changes. And then 1 final button, which is just going to say hide menu. Now for this one, I selected the bottom style that just has this, it's called a tertiary button. So let's break down what each of these does. We'll start with the easiest, which is hide menu. So when we select this button, we want to hide component, and you can hide component container 5, which is the container that we're working in. And then you want to show component button 4. If you remember, button 4 is this one all the way up here, the one that we told the system to hide itself. So when we click this button, this container appears and this button disappears. And then when we click hide menu, it hides this whole container and it shows that button. So what this looks like, hide menu, update boards, hide menu. So again, everything in this menu down here is contained within a single container. You can dress it up if you want since it's not the most appealing, but now we at least have a menu that shows and hides itself. Now let's go through actually building out these components while they're visible. So in input field 1, I've called it board 1, and the value is a page variable for chat 1. Input field 2 is called chat image URL, and the value is bound to a page variable chat image 1. So go ahead, create a page variable for chat 1 and chat 1 image. Then input field 2, I call it board 2, bound to variable chat 2, it's a page variable, and page variable for chat 2 image. And then lastly, board 3 is called chat 3, chat image URL is called chat 3 image. So again, those are your page variables. So you're going to need to add a couple and tie them to each of these input fields first. So go ahead, pause the video, go ahead and do that. And next up, we're going to set up these start or clear chat buttons. So here's what the first one does. I know you're probably relieved to see how simple this logic is compared to some of what we've done already. So this button here, I'm going to show what the text says. I'll paste it in the URL, but it is pretty lengthy. So basically, this tells you this will delete the chat/board data if it exists. Only use this option to start a new chat or board. If you want to add an existing chat or board, simply type the chat board name and save the changes. Do you want to start/clear this chat board? Basically what we're doing is we're telling people if you try to start a new one when someone's already created it, you're going to delete the data. And this causes them, when you click the button, to confirm that that's what we're doing. Then we perform this post request. So this one is relatively simple. So we'll go through it because you're actually copying the data for each of these three buttons. So when we click on this post, the URL is a formula, and this is what the formula is going to look like. We have the first half, your app variable for project name, then we have the second half, and then the page variable for chat 1, which is whatever is in chat 1 up here. So just like I've done before, I will paste this URL in the description for this video, and I will do the same thing for this request here, because this one may look a little bit odd to you. There's no data variables or page variables or anything tied in. What we're doing when a new chat is created is we're simply posting in completely blank data. We're just getting it set up to where that chat document is created and all of these fields just have empty data in them. So this start clear is actually just posting empty values that at least are tied to these names in Firebase. So I will put the URL in the description as well as the request body. So here's what the URL looks like. For the first one, it is simply going to post to this URL, and it's just going to be called pagevar chat1. And you'll see right here, it's posting to the collection for chat1. So all of chat1 goes in here. Now, once you've pasted the URL in, you can move to the second one. When we click Start Clear, it's the exact same confirm dialog, and it's tied to the first node in every case. So if the user clicks yes, you can see on outputs, confirmed at port 1 is true. So if it's confirmed, it does this. If it's canceled, nothing happens. And the data request is the exact same. So the only difference is the URL changes to chat 2. So I'll put the 3 chat URLs in this video description so that you can post them in. And the post data, because we're using the post method, the request body is the exact same. And then we will go to chat 3, and I'm sure you guessed it, same confirm dialog, same HTTP request. It will use the chat 3 URL, which will be in the description, and then it will post the exact same data. All 3 chats are identical. Then we will need to click the Save Changes button. So here's what this button is going to do. It's not terribly complicated. So the first things first, on Component Tap, we are going to drag over the Get Current User, which we've installed previously, and connect it here. Now, the bottom 2 nodes, I've connected to an error dialog, just saying error, try again. We've done this previously, but you can just drag the toast message over, connect these 2 to this one by simply dragging a line, and then in the dialog, you'll type over here, error, try again later. And that's all there is to it. Now, this will be the data request we're sending. And this is a little bit different, so I'll try to put these 2 in the description because there's 2. So, the first one is going to be this URL here. This temp profile URL will sound familiar. This is the details of the user, so it's their user ID essentially. So in this case, we are sending that user's data. So if you, for example, I clicked the X button on accident, we'll just refresh the page. If you don't save anything, all of those will still be there. So the general idea behind this save button is this HTTP request is going to be sending this a delete. So we're deleting it first. This may sound a little odd, but this is because we're updating the record. So if you can get the update record to work, instead of using this and a post, you can just use the update record function. However, I've had trouble with that, so I'm going to use the delete function instead. So we'll paste this URL in, it'll be in the description of this video under the delete URL option. And then we will choose the delete method right here. When you choose the delete method, there's no inputs. It's basically just the URL and delete. And then all three nodes are going to go to this one, which I'll put in the post URL. So there'll be 5 URLs total in the description of this video. Chat 1 through 3, delete, and post. This will be the post URL. And then we are going to be posting this data. Now, one thing to note here is when we post this data, we want to make sure that we're including all of the app variables for that user. So we need to choose the about me, the username, profile picture. And the reason for that is if you post to Firebase and you exclude or if you include blank values, it's going to overwrite. So we want to make sure that we're including all the detail that's in this profile page. So here's what I'm going to show you real quick. If we go to profile details, a sample profile, it can have empty data, but you need all of the fields that are in each profile so that users aren't randomly deleting their data. So I will paste this payload in the description as well. So you're going to have 5 links and 2 payloads. The one that actually has the page variables in it is going to be this one. It's also much shorter. And what we're posting is basically all of the data from this page. And then we'll show a back button. It's up to you if you want to add one. You can just drop a button on the page that says back. And then all it does is take you back. And then you will have a post dialog or a toast dialog here, only connected to the top one that says profile updated, which means it succeeded, and a dialog down here connected to the bottom 2 nodes saying error, try again. Now you'll notice the back button appears and it's connected to all 3 nodes. The reason is if there's a failure, we're just going to allow them to go back and ignore it. And that is everything for this. Now, one critical part that we have not covered yet is page load logic, and we're doing that last. So we're going to click page loadout. The reason we're doing this is, if you noticed, we sent a lot of data before, and when we clicked down here to update the boards and save changes, we saved the user's description, username, etc. But we have to tell the app how to get that, otherwise it has no data to send. So on this page, we'll go through this logic really, really quickly. It's going to look really familiar, and it's not as time-consuming as you may think. So we will go ahead and put the on-page loadout. So you click this. We're going to drag in the get current user, which is the one that we've used. It's in the installed page. And the first node will connect to all of this, which we'll go over in a second. We'll do the second one first, just to make it a little easier. So the second one, the failure nodes, are going to connect to a dialog that says profile not set up, create now. This will delete any details you've entered previously. So we'll drag in the confirmation dialog from over here. If they choose to confirm, we're going to drag over an HTTP request. And to avoid pushing too many requests through to users, what we're going to have set up is we are going to set up basically just allowing this database to talk correctly with whatever we need to. So I'm going to type this one out with you so I don't have too many URLs in the description. So what we're going to do is we are going to paste in this page. So in this case, we are going to paste in, and I'll type it out. So we're going to put in this first half, which you can pause the video and type in, space plus space, and we're going to put in the app variable, and this is the project name, and then space plus space, and then you're going to type in this part in quotes, and then space plus space, app variable temp profile URL. So basically this is posting updated app details, and that's all that there is to it. So that is set up. And then once you've typed that out, you're going to need the request body, which this honestly is not as important, but you can try to type all of this out. What I would recommend you do is go to the My Profile page video that we've done previously, and you'll actually copy this content from there. So if you want to, you can navigate really quickly, so pause this video, go up here, and you'll find your My Account page. And when users click the Save button, so we'll navigate there. When users click this button here, it's going to post data. That post is identical to this one here. It's going to have About Me, Chat 1, Chat 2, all of that stuff. So you'll paste that in right here. And then all three of these nodes will navigate to the My Account page. This is basically saying you don't have an account, go create one. And the confirmation dialog will also, the failure will connect here. So regardless of what they do, we're taking them to the My Account page. Now we'll set up the success for get current user. So the first thing we're going to do is set app variable, and we're going to choose an app variable, temp profile URL, which you should have already created. And I'm sure you guessed it. We are going to go to output of another node, get current user, and then we're going to find their UID because that's their unique ID. Then we're going to add in a get record, which we've done previously. We'll choose profile details. ID is temp profile URL. We're going to ignore the failure. You can add one if you want. And then here's what it's going to do. It's going to set page variable chat1, and it's going to be the output of another node, get record, and then we're going to find the chat1. Now the reason you already have this set up is we have chosen already to add chats to our profile details for our users. So we have chat1, chat2, and chat3. So go ahead and add in page variables for chat1, chat2, chat3, and set their variable to chat1, chat2, and chat3. And then their assigned value is just the output of another node of the get user, and it's the string value for chat1, chat2, and chat3. So pretty simple. Then we have a couple more app or page variables. Now, you only need these app or page variables. In this case, I would recommend app variables. You only need one for each of the user's profile data. So in this case, we already have chat1, chat2, and chat3. All we need left is About Me, profile picture, and username. So add in set app variable, and then choose username, and then any of the additional ones, image URL, and description. And you'll just set the app variable to username, description, image URL, and the assigned value will be output of another node, get current user, and it will be, or it'll actually be for the get record, and it'll just be that relevant thing. So the description, you can choose the, we'll find the name, About Me, etc. So again, you're just setting the app variables for all of the fields that are in the My Profiles section. And what this is going to do is it's storing them in the page so that when we send the data, it's going to be sending everything and it's not randomly wiping their details. And then the last thing that we're going to do, going along, connected to setting page variable for chat1, and chat2 and chat3, we're going to do a get record function for each of these. And then we're going to go to set page variable for each of these. So go ahead and add these in, and we'll go ahead and set up the data variables for them next. So go ahead and add these in right now, and then you can minimize this really quickly. I would recommend pausing the video real quick to just take a breath. All right, so at this point, what we're going to be doing is we have board 1, and if you remember, we have this start chat, and this creates a chat for us. we can't add in the data variables until the chat is created. So at this point, you're going to need to go into your app, go to the boards page, and create a chat in each of these fields. So type in some letters in each of these fields and go in and click Start Chat in each. Go to your Firebase account and make sure that you have a chat for each of these categories. So in this case, Chat 1, Chat 2, Chat 3. When you have all of those set up correctly, make sure that the chats have the data that you want. So it should be Chat 1 through 10, Post 1 through 10, and then a couple of others as well. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Data tab, and we're going to create 3 data resources. So we have Resource ID 1. Now, this is similar to ones that we've made in the past, so you can pull URLs from past videos. I don't want to put too many URLs in this video. So you can type this one out. It's the same one we've been using. So it's the HTTPS Firestore Google APIs v1/projects. And just like in previous videos, you're going to have in caps project name, which is going to be in the last video. So you can go grab this URL from there. And then /databases default documents. And then it's going to be /chat1. Now in this case, we're going to go to get record, and you're going to click method enabled. And right here, you're going to put /ID. So when you go to the get here, go to test, run test, set schema from response. Then go to get and type in /ID in brackets and go to test. And you can type out, if you want to run the test, you can type in your document name here. And you can click run test. And at that point, we're going to save it. And you're going to do that for board 1, board 2, and board 3. So now at this point, we have set it up to where it's going to send the data as expected. And now that we have those set up, we're just going to go back to the Save Changes button. Again, we can kind of look through, make sure that this is all correct. And we're really just making sure that that's loading correctly. So now we can go back to our page load and wrap up these 6 functions that we have not finished. So for get record 1, if you remember, we've already done all of this. We're just going to go to get record 1. We'll choose resource name, board 1. And the ID is bound to a formula, which is just your page variable .chat1. This we've already created. And get record 2 is just going to be the resource name for board 2. And the ID is chat2. Now, if you're ever configuring these and you can't find something, for these you don't need to add the data variable here. That's an unnecessary step. So just wanted to add that as a note. And then, again, page variable chat2, and then get record 3, which is board 3. ID is page variable chat3. Then we're going to go to set page variable, and this is going to be a variable name, which is chat1image. So we've already created this. If you haven't already, it's just page variable for chat1image. The assigned value is going to be, you're going to go to the get record, and you're going to find, out of all of these, you're going to find the chat1 image. So you're going to scroll through, and it's going to be called pageimage stringValue. The reason I have this set up is when you clicked the start button, you copied the request that I was creating. And what I've created is chat 1 through 10, image 1 through 10, page image, and URL. So in this case, we're going to get record board 1, and we're going to set the variable name for chat image to, again, we're going to go to get record, and we're going to go find just the page image down here, which again is just page image URL, and click save. Repeat the process for this. Set page value chat image 2 to the output of another node, and you're just going to go to assigned value, and you're going to do output of another node, get record 2, and then you scroll down and find the page image option. It's the exact same because they're all identical. So page image, save, and repeat for get record 3. Once you've done that, we are all finished with this page, and we'll go into the next video, which is going to be kind of finalizing the actual pages themselves. But the logic that this is implementing is when the page loads, if the user decides to update the boards, for example, this page, when it loads, we have to tell the app, hey, this user already has these 3 boards. So when I click update, you'll see it's getting this data so that it can be loaded. That way a user doesn't have to add it every single time. So this is the logic for page load. And we've already set up the save changes option. So you have all of the URLs set up. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below, and I'll see you all in the next video.